All right. Let's All right. So welcome everybody. This is the 2025 MAC League coaches meeting for our brand new Babe Ruth division. The goal of tonight is to go over the league, what we're doing, what we've set up, what are some of the playing rules, kind of how we got to here, and we'll kind of take it from there. All right. So let's moving on. All right, so what is the MAC League? The MAC League is a consortium of 10 programs across 13 different towns. Um, this is a brand new program that we brought in for Babe Ruth this year. So we're going to be trying it out, seeing how it goes. Hopefully it goes well. We're going to mimic it off of our other programs, so we have high expectations. Moving through, so just as a quick heads up, we do have summer and fall seasons for our different programs. We do not have an additional summer program for the juniors division, though we will have a fall program for juniors, just like we did last year. So if you're interested in playing again this fall, you're definitely welcome to create another team, and there will be opportunities to play there. All right. So, as I mentioned, this is new divisions. So we are going to we this year we added both rookies, we added juniors, we added seniors, but we didn't get enough teams to pull off that. So that why did we do this? We kind of did this to be able to keep all of our kids together across all of these towns. Kind of gonna mute you. Um, So this way we're trying to basically make it consistent for the kids. We want to show the kids and the parents there's a path all the way from the beginning of baseball all the way to the end of baseball. So as long as they want to play rec, there's a place and a home. It's because of the different programs, the different towns over the past couple of years, it's been more challenging to keep kids in the game. Obviously we made some changes to the majors division this year to try to keep more excitement and getting them more prepared for this level. So that seems to be going well. We're getting good feedback there. So yeah, these are the new divisions that we're working for this year. Some important dates. So June 16th, that's next Monday. That's officially the first week of the season. So hopefully you've already started practicing. Games for the most part, almost every game is on a Tuesday or a Thursday. That doesn't mean games need to be played on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but that is what we scheduled them to try to keep it as consistent as we could for families. That doesn't mean if you have to reschedule a game, you have to do it on those 2 days. You don't. Reschedules can be any day of the week, including Saturday and Sunday. You basically will work with the other coach, determine what you want to do for makeup, and you will have it there. So it doesn't matter what the original things were. So starting next week, we'll go for 6 weeks. There'll be 2 games per week on the schedule. And there'll be 12 games total. We will end on July 27th. All games have to be completed by July 27th. So if you have a game that gets rained out, make sure you get it completed before then. If you don't, you won't get points for seeding for the tournament. July 28th, we'll start a 2-week single elimination playoffs, just like we do with the younger divisions. And everybody is in the tournament, every team, and then single elimination all the way to the finals. So we strongly we think it's going to be great, just like our other ones are going to be great. We think this is going to carry on as well. I do want to encourage you, if anybody has questions, feel free to stop, come off mute and ask your question. Questions are great. We're not going to change anything at this point, so opinions can come later, but questions are more than happy to answer them as we go along. All right, some important things to note. So this is not Central Massachusetts baseball. This isn't Minuteman baseball. This isn't high school using federation rules. This is the MAC League, and it is a rec league that's designed to be that way. So we want to make sure that every kid, regardless of talent or skill, is able to play baseball all the way until they're 18. And that's what we built here. Please make sure you read that the rules are different. The processes are different. Don't make assumptions. Just because you're holding a Babe Ruth rulebook does not mean that those are the rules. we'll go through that another page to show you the rules, but make sure you understand what the rules are for our program. They are different from what you might have used in the past if you've done Babe Ruth previously. So on that note, for Mac rules, so these are the rules that we use. So we have our Mac general rules. This is where, if you look at that link, and it is on the website, and I will show you that after when we do the walkthrough on the website, that is where you're going to find all the general information about how the league operates for rules, you know, the specifics, how to reschedules and game counts and all of those types of things that are common across our entire league are going to be in there. And then we have the specific rules for juniors. These are your playing rules. These are the ones of, pitching and batting and fielding, all the specifics about how the things you would need at a field will be in the specific rules that are lined up for juniors. We also separately pulled out the playoff rules. So as we get closer to the end of the season and you want to know how the playoffs going to operate, we have a specific page with the specific outlines and guidelines for how we operate the playoffs. It's slightly different instead of the regular season. Same playing rules, but there's going to be a few things like pitch counts will change, and a few other slight things will change as well. On top of those are the things that are on top of the Babe Ruth rules. The Babe Ruth is our core foundation rules that we play by. If there is a conflict in Babe Ruth rules compared to the Mac rules is going to take precedent. So keep that in mind. Don't just have your Babe Ruth book and say, hey, it says this in Babe Ruth book. If the Mac rules say something conflicting, Mac rules is going to take precedent. And then the other note is rule clarifications. So if during the season a rule is unclear or it's just plain problematic, the Mac board will make a majority vote to write a clarification. And if we need to, or change a rule, we will try to avoid changing or adding rules. But if we need to clarify a rule, it's not uncommon. We actually had probably about 4 or 5 of them in the lower divisions this spring. So it's not unheard of. So if if a rule is unclear to you, feel free to send it to your Mac League coordinator, or you can feel free to send it to me directly. I can't say I'm going to respond quickly, but if you send it to your Mac rep, they will get it to me and we will at least get it in the queue. But again, feel free to reach out to me. I just can't promise I'm going to get back to you as quick as you might hope. All right. Protests. So in the Mac League, there are no protests allowed, flat out. So this is going to be different from every other program you're going to find. So we don't allow protests, which means whatever decision, good or bad, is going to be made by the umpires at the field, and it's going to be final. So the other thing that we really want to note here is there's no calling league officials from the fields. So if you're familiar with playing in the Central Mass League, it was not uncommon that Jeff Dedian would get 30 calls a night from coaches sitting on the field complaining about something or other or some rule, or we're not doing that. So work it out with the umpire. Umpire makes the final call, and if at the end of the game it was a bad call, reach out to your Mac rep, and they will reach out to me, and we will figure out how to do that, and the league rep will get that umpire trained if need be. But regardless of what happens with that, there's no adjustments made to the original game. So it will stand as it was, whatever rule the umpire played by, that will stand, and they'll be taught for how to do it properly for the next game. Player participations and call-ups. So you need to field at least 8 players within 15 minutes of the start or else forfeit the game. Forfeits will be entered as 6-0 victory for the non-forfeiting team. So as we only have the juniors program this year, so you can call up any player from majors or majors A division, consider them the same. You can't have more than 10 players when you do call-ups, and you can't do cross-division call-overs. So it's the same as we do with all the MAC division program leagues. So keep that in mind. You are not restricted to just the majors and majors A. You could go to the minors division. It's not against the rules. It's just be very cautious if you're going to bring a younger player onto the big diamond. Lots of us have done it in the past. I've done it in the past. Um, and if you get a really good, 10-year-old that could really help, and you're in a jam, or it's a sibling of one of the players on the team, it's not unheard of to do it. So I don't recommend it, but it has been done. For the call-ups, they can pitch. If they do pitch, their pitch counts get counted against their original team. Thankfully, in this time, um, next week is the last week for all of our younger divisions, so that shouldn't be an issue. Call-up should be placed at the bottom of your order. The call-up should play the minimum of 6 defensive outs. So the goal is that if you have call-up, rostered players get priority. So you shouldn't have a rostered player on the bench while a call-up is in the field. So the call-up system is not designed to make your team better. It's just there so you can actually have the game. So just keep that in mind. They need to be in the field for 6 defensive outs. Get them in, use them how you need to, but they're not there to make your team better. They're there just so you can have your game. Games and scoring. So no new innings after 2 hours and 30 minutes. This is 30 minutes longer than the younger divisions. So just keep that in mind. The umpires can call the game early in collaboration with the 2 head coaches. All 3 need to agree to call the game. Home team will pay the umpire before the game starts and provide at least 2 game balls. In playoffs, both teams pay half of the umpire fee. So as we get closer to playoffs, just remember that when you go to a playoff game, both coaches and both sides need to bring half of the price for the umpire. And there's no per run inning limit in Babe Ruth. Continued here. So we do have a mercy rule. And if you hit the mercy, the game must be conceded. There's no like, hey, we're going to keep playing. We're just not going to accept the mercy. So it is not possible. You have to take that. So at the end of the 4th inning, one team has a lead of 50, actually supposed to say 10 there, 10 runs or more. That's the mercy. And at the end of the 5th inning, it's 8 runs. And the other thing to keep in mind, score at the time of the mercy rule is applied is what you report on the MAC site. So just keep that in mind that as soon as you call mercy, that's what gets put onto the website. And then ultimately both team needs to go on the MAC website and report the score and the pitch counts. So you need to preferably do it the night of the game, but it has to be within 24 hours. All right, games not played. So we have a 12-game season that happens in 6 weeks. Games are not allowed to be rescheduled for anything other than weather. So I don't have enough players or I got something else going on that night aren't legitimate reasons for canceling a game. Use the call-up system, use an assistant coach, use other methods. It's too difficult to try to get all the games in if you start canceling games because of XYZ. Weather is the only allowed reason to reschedule the game. You do want to try to reschedule those rainouts as quick as possible to the original date.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
We can reschedule ahead of time though, right? Like I can change my schedule right now. You just said that earlier.
say that one more
You
time.
just said you said earlier at the very beginning that we could you just did Tuesdays and Thursdays because to make it simple. Like I could go in and like I've been waiting for phone numbers for coaches where I could go in and change dates of my games.
Okay. It to be before the season starts, you can make those types of changes. Once the season starts, it's for weather only.
All right, perfect. So like right now I can like because I that's one thing that's how we've done it in the Mac for a billion years that I've been in it.
Yep.
Coaches make their changes before games start.
Yep. Same
All
thing.
right, perfect.
As long as
Perfect.
it's
Perfect.
done
Perfect.
before the season starts, you're good to go. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Same
Nick,
as the Max always.
as long as the coaches agree,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
hey, you know what, this game like 2 weeks from now, I have an issue. Do you have a problem moving it to Wednesday or something?
So
There's got to be plenty of time. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
That's right.
so just be very cautious on moving things in the season. You can move stuff up, but try to not move anything out. So like if you've got a game that's you don't want to move it further down the line. If you got to move a game up and the other coach agrees, go ahead and move it up. Just be very cautious because there are a lot of reasons
Either
for
way, coaches agree, have to both agree, and you have all the pitching and whatnot to figure in and that kind of stuff, and that's a given. But as long as the two coaches are on board,
yeah,
there's time.
yeah.
What about the umpires though? We still, I mean, how's that work with them scheduling the umpires?
We
So
schedule umpires.
So we change the game and then you're
Um,
gonna schedule the umpires for us?
well, the home game. No, no, no. Each organization sets up their
yeah,
own umpires.
yeah. So every so for clarification, so every organization has their own umpire assigner. Those umpire assigners are the ones who are going to handle getting umpires. So if you reschedule a game, it's your responsibility to reach out to your local league's umpire assigner and have an umpire assigned to that game. So just keep that in mind. You will have to make the MAC league has nothing to do with scheduling umpires at all. So everything is done at the local level.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So the only thing I want to call it here, games that are for weather. So you should never, and you can't cancel a game more than 2 hours in advance of before the game. So like if you look at the weather at 9 o'clock and you're like, oh, it's going to rain tonight, you can't cancel the game at 9 o'clock. You can't cancel it at noon. You have to wait till 4 o'clock before you cancel the game. Why do we do that? Because this is New England and weather changes on a dime here. We've seen so many games get canceled over the years where, oh, I thought it was going to rain tonight. That's what the forecast said. Wait till 4 o'clock, make the call, let your umpires know. That way you're not dealing with the rainouts. So if you played in the younger division this year, you'll understand just how bad the rain was for all the programs. So you really, really want to make sure that you wait as long as you possibly can to make that call. Some towns, it's not going to be in the coach's control. Some towns, it's run by the town. They're going to make the call. They might make the call in the morning, and there's nothing we can do about that. But if it's the coaches making the call, wait till 2 hours before the game before you make that call. I'm not going to go through the other pieces here. You can read them on your own. They're in the rules as well. Actually, the last one I do want to mention is the lightning. So if you do see lightning, it's a 15-minute delay. When that 15-minute delay happens, it does extend the timer on the game 15 minutes. So the 2 hours and 30 minutes now goes to 2 hours and 45 minutes. So it will extend that. You might still hit darkness, and which might make it irrelevant, but it does give you more time to get the game in. I want to be very careful. We ran into this problem a couple times last year where games went into a lightning delay. Some parents took their kids, threw them in the car, and went home and left. And then the lightning delay ended, and the team didn't have enough players to get back on the field, and that team had to forfeit. So if you go into a lightning delay, make sure you tell all of your parents, don't go anywhere. Stay in your cars, wait the 15 minutes until we make an official call. It might get called in 15 minutes. It might get called in 30 minutes. Just don't let them leave because nothing worse than yeah, we're gonna get the game in. Crap, where did those players go? So uh, so definitely keep that in mind. All right, pitching. So this is the junior level. We use the MLB Pitch Smart guidelines for this division. Every player is going to be considered 13 years old as far as pitch count go. We're not going to play games with, well, this kid's 13, this one's 14, this one's 15. There's different pitch count rules. Everybody's going to be treated as if they were 13 years old for pitch counts. So these are the pitch counts that are in here. They are also written in the rules. So a couple things that are important here. So the player throws 36 pitches on Tuesday. That means he's got a 2-day rest. That means they can't pitch again until Friday. Wednesday and Thursday are your rest days. Okay? Another important note, you cannot finish a batter and go into the next day's rest category. So, example, if your pitcher is at 35 pitches in the middle of an at-bat, pull them out because if they go to 36, they now have 2 days rest instead of one. So this has been talked about a lot, and this is the rule that the backboard is sticking with. When you can finish a batter and go over the limit is on the daily max. So if you're at 95 pitches and you're in the middle of an at bat, you can continue to finish that batter. But as soon as the batter is done, the pitcher has to come out because they've now hit their daily max. Okay. This division, league age 16-year-olds are not allowed to pitch in the juniors division. So if you have someone who's league age 16, they cannot pitch. That league age is however old they were on May 1st of this year. So if their birthday is May 2nd and they start playing next week, they're officially 16 years old, but their league age is 15. They would still be eligible to pitch. So if they were 16 on May 1st and they're now 17, they're still eligible to be in the league. They can participate, but they're not allowed to pitch. So if however old they are on May 1st, that's what determines if they're going to be allowed to pitch in the program. Okay. Is there any questions on that pitching stuff? I know that there's always confusion unless I tried to write it up as many of the different examples as I could to try to answer a lot of the common questions.
Is where can I find that information, Keith, on the pitch counts?
It's all in the rules that are on the website.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And I will also be sending out this presentation and the recording, so you can also look at those up after as well.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Some more things on pitching. So pitching can be tracked using a smartphone app or a manual pitch counter. If there is a conflict, who's ever using the smartphone app, i.e. Game Changer, they're going to have their stats take precedent. So keep that in mind if you're one of those people that doesn't use Game Changer and you're going to use a manual clicker. If there's, hey, I think it's this, no, I think it's this, who's ever got Game Changer, they get they win that battle. Okay. I do recommend that both teams track both teams pitching, and between innings you check with the other team, hey, this is what I have for you, this is what I have for you. Make sure they're stay in sync. So things are just recommended. Make sure you enter those pitch counts within 24 hours after the game on the MAC website. So I know some of you weren't in the MAC this year, but were last year. The MAC site does now support adding pitch counts, so you'll enter them in on the MAC site. So new pitchers, 6 warm-ups, returning get 4. If a pitcher beans 4 players in a game, they're going to be removed for the remainder of the game. Coaches allowed 1 mound visit per inning. Pretty much the usual stuff that we do in the MAC League. Batting. So a little bit different from the lower levels. The on-deck batters are allowed within the field limits in the traditional on-deck circle or the designated area. So they're old enough now where they can duck and hide from those foul balls. 13 and 14-year-old players are still allowed, but they are not required to use a USA baseball bat. Everybody else that is 15, 16 has to use a BB core bat. 13 and 14s can use a BB core, they're just not required to. USSA bats are not allowed in this program, and no torpedoes. So if you watch the MLB this year, you'll know what I'm talking about there. So keep the torpedoes out, they're not legal. Another thing to note, if a batter has contact with the ball with their foot outside the batter box, they will be called out. This is a common rule. We just call it out because it was something that got brought up a lot in the younger divisions. The other thing to note, any players throwing a bat with malice will be given a warning on their first offense. Second offense will require ejection from the game. An umpire can eject in the first offense if it's egregious enough in their opinion. So if they think that that kid took her helmet and chucked it at someone, they're going to throw them out without a warning. So just keep that in mind. I know kids at this age can be a little bit more rambunctious, I'll say, a little more emotional. So keep them in check so that we don't have to worry about dealing with that. Base running, no limits. How many bases you can run on errors. The slide or avoid rule is in effect. Standard rules, head first sliding is allowed, leading is allowed. Blocks, yeah. So every time someone balks, they're going to get one warning the first time, and then after the first warning, they're going to get the runners are going to get a base. So keep that in mind. That's going to last the whole season at the juniors level. If there are 2 outs, a courtesy runner for a catcher should also be used so they can get ready for the next inning. So 2 outs, the catcher's on base, you can use a pitch runner to get them out and get them ready for the next inning. Base stealing, ball is always live. No limit to the number of steals per inning. Stealing of home on pass balls is permitted. Basically, rules are real baseball. So this is a lot of the gloves are taken off from the lower divisions, and this is as close to real baseball as you can get. Infield fly rule is going to be applied. I'm not going to read through the details, but make sure you understand what the infield fly rule is. Drop third strike is in effect. I do want to call up the thing on the bottom. As soon as a player steps out of the dirt circle, they will be called out. Until they step into that grass, they can still turn and run to first on a drop third strike. Why do we call that out? So a lot of times, some of our players will have a drop third strike, not realize it, start heading back towards the dugout, and then all of a sudden realize it. And we've had players that start running from the dugout. It is technically an umpire's call when they make the decision to turn, and we tried to get rid of the opinion and instead make it so as soon as they step out of the circle and onto the grass, they're out and they can't go back. But if they're still in the dirt, they could turn around and run to first. So, all right. Umpires. So umpires are to be scheduled by the home league. One patched umpire needed at this level. We don't use two until we get to the playoffs. Umpires are paid $100 before the game starts. Make sure you notify your umpires before when you have any schedule changes. If an umpire shows up to the field and there's nobody there, they're getting paid, and you just have to go meet them and give them their money. So don't forget to let your umpires know. In the playoffs, 2 things that are important here. There are going to be 2 umpires, one in the field, one behind the plate. And the big thing here is both teams are going to pay for half of the cost of the umpire. So remember, when you get to playoffs, make sure, even if you're the away team, you bring money for the umpire. It's going to be $100 per player until you get to those finals, and it'll be $50 per team in the playoffs until you get to the finals and championship, where it will be $100 per team because there'll be 2 umpires. Sportsmanship, I'm not going to go into too much on this, but read it when you get a chance. Be patient with our umpires. Basic sportsmanship, no yelling at the umpires, any of that type of stuff, you're going to get suspended for it. Same rules as we have with the younger one. We're just going to enforce it here just as well as we do in the other one. If there are any issues with your umpires, bring them up to your local MAC reps. They will be the ones who can help deal with that issue. And if they need to bring the MAC board in, they will do that. But most of the time, umpires are a local issue, and they'll get dealt with at the local level. So hopefully MAC never has to get involved in anything to do with umpires. Field information. So a couple things here that are really important. So make sure you understand the safety rules of the field you're visiting. Okay. So while right now we are not in a COVID situation, say things get ugly again, some towns can have rules that are different from other towns. If a certain town has rules that say something like, you need to wear a mask at our field, you have to wear a mask when you go to their field. It's not going to be optional. Even if your local town doesn't require it, if you go to someone else's town and they do, you'll have to follow their rules. So whatever rules they have, the visiting team has to follow. So as of right now, I don't know of anybody that has that. We just want to make sure everyone's aware that if that happens, that it is something that's important. Most of the fields in our program do not allow dogs to be brought to the fields. Make sure you tell your parents. We have this happen a lot, and we have to shut games down. So no fields allow smoking, vaping, chewing tobacco, drug use, alcohol, none of that type of stuff. So if any rule is suspected of being broken, they think someone's drinking, there's a dog there, the umpires are simply going to put the game on hold until the offending situation has resolved itself. The game will sit there on hold for an hour until it gets resolved. So the umpires are not going to go and fight somebody about some of these rules. So as the coach, you need to make sure you go deal with the situation if something is happening. And then finally, treat all the fields as if they were your own. Clean up the dugout, make sure, and the spectator area before you leave. So if your spectators are on bleachers and they make a disaster, as a coach, make sure you take a look at the area and clean it up. Make sure it's as in good a shape it was when you got there. All right, I'm going to go through the website now. And before I do that, are there any questions on any of the stuff that I've already talked about? Great. All right, so here is the website. It is macleague.org. If you haven't been there, you probably should have got an invite from me to get access to that website. From here, we're going to go through a couple of different things. So while you're here, you can click on resources. Here's all the different rules that we talked about earlier. Here's the general rules. Here's the juniors rules. Here's the playoff rules. So everything else you can ignore. Okay. So keep those. These are where you'll find them. Go into general rules. Here you go. Everything you need to know down in detail is all listed. Juniors rules, same thing. There's everything all the way down. Pitch counts, everything is all listed out. Okay. So that's where you'll find the rules. The next thing right over here is divisions. So if you click on this and click on juniors, eventually it'll come up. There we go. If you come to this page, see how it says Little Diamond Playoffs? Make sure you change this to Big Diamond Regular Season. Okay. Once we get past next week, those other ones should just fall off because their season will be done. But in case you get wondering why nothing is showing up, it's because you got to make sure you pick Big Diamond Regular Season. All right, so from here you'll see a list of any games that are scheduled today, anything, and here are the current standings. You can click standings here to get the more expanded standings. Wow, the site is slow tonight. Okay, so here's where you're going to see all of the standings. So keep in mind, this does not use points. So these are not true standings. We use point system here. So it's 3 points for a win, 1 point for a loss, 2 points for a tie. Those are what we do seeding based on. So just keep in mind if you say, oh, we've been in first place all year and all of a sudden you get second place, that's why. And we'll call that out when we do the seeding, but just because you see something here, just keep in mind it goes by points, not necessarily percentage. Also in here, you're going to see scoreboard. So you can come in here, you can click on any day to see the scores for that game. You can click on schedule. And actually, you know what, so here's the full schedule for the entire season for this division. I'm going to jump into a different one for a second. Because I'm going to show you. So here you'll see Pitch Smart. So here's where when you hit Pitch Smart, it's going to show you every player across every town, when the last time they pitched, how many pitches they did, when they're next eligible to pitch. Okay. So this is a new feature that was added this year that we kind of waited for a while. So this is very important to keep up to date. So, and I'll show you how to put in your pitch counts in a minute. Okay. All right. So the next thing I want to show is rosters. So under teams here, you're going to see under juniors, this is where all of your teams are listed. I'm going to come into one of my test teams here. So when you log into your test team, you're going to get a basic landing page for your team. It's going to show you the next week of games. It's going to show you what you have today. It's going to show you any staff members. This is also how you would find contact information for other teams. So if you wanted to find out who is the coach for, one of these other teams, you'd come in there and you'd see staff listed here. So in order to have your name appear here, you had to have accepted the invite that I emailed you. And it very well could be sitting in your spam box. So I'm going to show that real quick. So right now, everybody that's in green here, those are the people that have accepted the invite. If your name is in red, you have not you received the invite, but you haven't yet accepted it. It's chances are it's sitting in your junk mailbox. These tend to find their way there. So when you find it, click it. You might have to create an account on the Mac site. If not, log in as your existing account and accept that. Once you accept it, you'll see your name show up here. Make sure you don't say, make my information private, because then none of the other coaches will be able to find your contact information. So if you keep it there, they'll be able to hunt you down. Okay. So again, Mike, Nick, Bobby, Travis, and Ken, you're the ones who haven't accepted the invites yet. So everyone else seems to be there. So the other things that you can do on here, and first thing I want to do is just show staff. So as the coach, you're going to be listed here. If you have another coach that you want to give access to your site, you can click add staff member, and then you can put their email address in and put what role they are, and they'll get access to be able to put in scores and pitch counts and stuff like that. So this is a good way to, and it also shows their information to the other teams if, say, you're not available as the head coach. Okay. Clicking on rosters. So you'll come in here, you will see all of your players listed. When you see all of your players listed, now, again, this is just a test team. You'll see all of your players. One thing that you need to do is notice here, there's no numbers. You come in here and you click on edit. You can come in and you can put their numbers in here. This is important for when you're doing pitch counts. Come in here. As soon as you have numbers for your players, put them in, and then just hit save. And those numbers will start showing up here. If a player is missing or player should be changed, let me know and I will make the change. Please don't use this. Okay. So if we don't want anybody to upload their players directly, we have a process for how we do that. So don't try to manually upload them yourself. It'll cause problems and I'll just have to go in and erase everything and fix it. So let me know and I'll fix it. All right.
Would that include call-ups?
It won't include call-ups. So for call-ups, you don't have to put their pitch counts on your team. They're gonna have to put it in on their other team. So you don't have to add them in here. All right. So on my
Well,
test,
Keith,
yeah,
but one thing, all those other call up players aren't going to be they're done. Like,
they've got
they're not playing any more games. Like,
other
they're,
than,
like
yeah,
Pepperell's already out and everything, besides, I think they had a Myers game today.
yeah.
So,
Other
like,
than like if you have like some teams are still playing all the way into next week. Is if they were once next week is done,
yeah, so then what do we do if we called up somebody, hypothetically?
just
You said we would input it into their team stuff.
you wouldn't even need to add their pitch counts in.
Awesome. Okay, great.
Yep. So you're good. Just keep in mind though, if you bring up a call up and you're going to use them again in 2 days, keep track of their pitch counts, but you don't have to edit it in the system and follow the pitch count rules. But we don't need to go to that level of tracking, but don't bring a call up on Tuesday, have them pitch 100 pitches and then bring them back on Thursday and throw them back in there. So, but again, it's a call up. It's an odd situation, so we're not going to put in a special rule around it. Just don't do stuff like that, and you'll be everybody will be fine. Fair
Can
enough.
can I throw one odd one in?
Yeah.
So I've got twins.
Okay.
They were 13, so they didn't play this year.
Okay.
One is playing, one's not.
Okay.
He's played through the MAC League the whole time, but this year he decided to do track.
Mhm.
Is he eligible?
That is entirely up to your local league. So
Okay. All right.
because
That's fine. That's the answer I needed.
yeah, the MAC league isn't going to deal with that. That's going to be your local league telling you if the player's eligible. I will tell you, like if it was Townsend, I would tell them they wouldn't be eligible because they're not going to have insurance. So if that kid comes on the field and gets hurt, then the league could get screwed. So
Okay. Yeah, fair.
local league
That's
might do
realistic.
something completely different. So I leave it in their hands. But if it was Townsend for like Mike Townsend coaches on, we wouldn't allow that. So,
All right, fair enough.
yep. All right. So back to this. So on my test team here, this is my schedule that I put in. So you can see I just got a bunch of games here against test team two. Some of them are in the past. So the couple things that we're going to note here. So the first thing you want to know is how do you put in scores and pitch counts? So let's say this game from June 8th, this button here, it says score. You click on this, and then you put in the score. 5-3, save it. As soon as you do that, it's going to come to another screen here. It's now going to show you your players, and it's going to ask for how many times who did what. So he had 50, he did 30, and he did 25. Then you save. Notice you can't put in the pitch count for the other team. So this means that both teams at the end of every game have to log in and put in their pitch counts. The first one that goes there is going to be able to put in the score, and that's fine. The second one can only put in the pitch count. So I'm going to save my pitch count here. And actually, I probably should have done a more recent game. That way I could show you the pitch smart. Waiting. It's usually not bad. So before people ask, we use a system called Crossbar that manages this system. So it's not our own, it's a third party. All right. See, stats got saved, and now you can see come in here and you can see the pitch counts. If the other team got to put in their stuff before you, it's going to look like this and not like this. So if you come in and go, oh crap, somebody already put the score in, but I didn't, I got to enter my pitch counts. You would come in and just hit your pitch count button. I am going to do one more just because I want to show how the pitch count the work. Okay. So now I got two of them in. Okay. So now I can come, if I click here on Pitch Smart for my team, so now I can see here's when all of these, if this was the last time they pitched, this is how many pitches they did. And it tells you the next game is here and their status is ineligible for that game. So it will keep tabs on this. It will keep tab of the Pitch Smart guidelines right here for you. So you can always say, okay, who's going to be, here's my next game, or the next eligible game that they're able to pitch in. So this is a great thing here, and we can look at it from a bigger point of view. All right. The other thing I want to show is the reschedule button. So we changed this up a little bit. We used to in the earlier season, we let coaches go ahead and add and remove and edit games directly. That caused some problems. So we're not going to do that anymore. So now you're going to have the option to reschedule. So let's say you got this game here. It was supposed to be done yesterday. It didn't happen. You come in here, you hit reschedule. This is going to put a request in. Reason for it, what happened, weather, change type, rescheduling, postpone. So if you hit reschedule, rain, whatever, what's the new date you want it? So I'm going to say I want it on the 20th, same time. How long is the game? Where is it going to be played? Here, you hit save. This is not going to, it's now requested it. It's not official yet. So on the back end, I am going to get a request. Wait till I get it. So I'm going to get a request to actually hit the approve button on that. This is so that people can't just delete and change things on their own without telling people, which is what happened earlier this year. So I will be on top of these things. So if I see things come in, I will hit them as fast as they come in. So hopefully it's not too crazy. But just keep in mind that that's how it will work. And then I'll get a button to approve it and call it. I was hoping to come in real quick. Approve. So yeah. So it's going to come in. So when you do that, it's going to send a message to both coaches to hit to approve the request. And then I will get one from a league point of view that I can approve. And now the game is properly going to show up here, which it does. Okay. So it's a little bit of approvals in order to reschedule a game. But that way everybody is in the loop when a game needs to get rescheduled. So nothing is going to get denied. It's just more for awareness and to make sure that the process is tracked. All right, that's it for my demo, and it for my presentation. So questions, what can I help? What can I walk you through? What can I show you? Or are we all done? It's your time, so tell me what you want to do. All quiet?
I'm good.
All good?
I'm good. I'm all set, Keith. Thanks.
Awesome. Last call. All right. So everybody have a great season. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me. I will send out all the recording and the slideshow, and I'll also post it on the website so that you can get access to everything. Have a great season. Good luck, and we'll see you everybody at the fields. Take care, all.